What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, joined with my co-hosts, Anthony Rivardo and Will Cohen. The second round is officially underway. Rangers had game one last evening. Really, it was a 4 o'clock game. I almost said night because they're usually at night. But the Rangers took a massive dub, 5-0 in the playoffs so far. It's been like 20-something days since the last time we took an L, and hopefully that streak just keeps going. We just keep winning. This whole playoff thing's kind of easy this year. I don't get what everyone was talking about, but we're going to be doing a little bit of a post-game recap and discussion, talking about all the things that we went right and, the very few things that went wrong, as always. But before we do that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification if you're watching us on Apple or Spotify. Be sure to give us a 5-star review. Leave your thoughts on the game down in the comment section below because we do like to hear your thoughts. And lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on Instagram, X, and TikTok. We've been posting a lot of good content over there recently, so be sure to check that out too, not just the YouTube. But before we really get into it, Anthony, how are you doing? And what were just your initial reactions to the game?
I'm doing great. I had a great time yesterday. The New York Rangers got a big dub. Love to see it, 4-3. If you guys were in the live stream yesterday, the pregame live stream, I got to give myself a little pat on the back, give myself a shout out. If you guys remember, I know the two of you were there. What did I predict? A 4-3 win for the New York Rangers. Rangers got the 4-3 win. So I feel good about that. I feel good about the fact that the New York Rangers got the win. Like you said, 5-0 in the postseason, coming off the sweep with the dub in game one. Loving it, hoping that they keep it going.
Yeah, you were on fire in yesterday's stream, Anthony. You had some incredible analysis on Artemi Panarin and Peter Laviolette and a few of the other members of the team, and then you just finish it off with the perfect prediction. So make that your prediction every time because maybe it'll just keep happening. But Will, welcome back. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I had the final today. I had to make a rap for one of them, actually. I just got done with that rap. It's actually terrible, but it's whatever. I was really happy with the win yesterday. I thought it was actually their best win all year. Looking to see them build on that in game two and throughout the rest of the playoffs.
I just want to clarify, when you said you made a rap, the first thing that came in my mind was like a sandwich rap, but
I made a rap song.
You getting in on the Drake versus Kendrick beef? Is that what
I am? I'm actually beefing with Drake now too, for no absolute reason. I'm just beefing with him.
1,000 likes on this video, and we'll release the Will hit single.
Oh God!
And I've said it now, so it has to happen. But let's get right into this game recap and discussion. I will say, Anthony, and when you on that live stream when you gave that 4-3 prediction, I was a little shocked because in my mind I thought this was going to be a little bit of a lower scoring series. Carolina's defense being as incredible as it is, and just special teams in general. But at the end of the day, the Rangers scored quite a handful of goals. In particular, Mika Zibanejad, who had a pair for himself, and we'll get into the power play in a little bit because that needs to be its own conversation. Just how are we feeling about Mika? Just in general, what he's done so far.
We're loving it. Mika May is in full effect. Mika Magic was there yesterday. He nearly had that hat trick, was inches away, just barely got that one, moved across the ice or across the line away from the goal. But I love not only his performance, scoring the 3 points that he had, the 2 goals and the 1 assist, but there at the end, the Rangers shorthanded needed a stop, and Mika Zibanejad stepped up to make that stop. His defensive play at the end of the game, I think, needs to be commended almost more than anything else that he did in the game. He put the team on his back there. Like the Rangers, back against the wall, were in a really crappy position, empty net for the Hurricanes. They had the complete advantage to go down, score that goal, and tie it, put it into overtime. And it was Mika Zibanejad who stepped up defensively to prevent the Hurricanes from getting that game-tying point. So not only do you have to give him hats off for his performance on the offensive end, but down the stretch of the game defensively, Mika Zibanejad really came up clutch.
Yeah, 1,000%. I know Alexi Lafreniere is on the thumbnail of this video. Shout out myself for asking our phenomenal editor, graphic design guy Danny, to make the graphics before the game even happened, and I was really banking on a Lafreniere game, but it ended up being a Mika game. So we'll say he was on it because the first game, the number 1 pick, it makes sense right there. But Will, Tony hit that analysis on the head right there. But tell me about the power play. We said we were going up against what was statistically the best power play in the entire regular season, and the Rangers scored 2 power play goals in like 20-something seconds.
Yeah.
So, with special teams in general, Rangers penalty kill went 5 for 5 against the second best power play in the NHL. So let's shift to special teams in general. Tell me about them, Will.
Man, I mean, the Rangers had 2 power plays and they lasted for a total of 22 seconds. The first one, absolute brilliance. All 5 guys touched the puck in 9 seconds. And I mean, I haven't seen our power play like that in some time. Doing what they did. I mean, they carved the Canes penalty killers on the 2 power plays they had. And the penalty kill, they were great as usual. I can't remember how many. I think they're now 17 for 19 on the penalty kill in the playoffs. So would they go 5 for 5 yesterday? But I mean, they kept almost everything to the perimeter. I think the Canes had 5 shots on goal on the their 5 power plays. So the penalty kill has been brilliant as always. Okay, all right, there we go. So the penalty kill, doing what they did all year long, but they were dominant as per usual against the team that everyone said was going to have their way with, a team that everyone said their power play would have their way with our penalty kill. So obviously didn't happen. I was very happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we're able to like praise the penalty kill for what they did, 5v5 against the second best, 5-4-5 against the second best power play in the entire league. That deserves its praise. But at the end of the day, man, like we got to stop taking these penalties. I know Chris Kreider had a really bad one. Like it looked like a rookie mistake. And I know Rempe was penalized as well a couple times. And that's hurting this team. Panarin, he didn't play that much. He only had like 9 minutes of ice time. And Rempe had like 7. Rempe almost surpassed Panarin in ice time in game 1, which to me is like mind-blowing because when the Rangers do take 5 penalties, like Panarin and your best players aren't on the ice. You're letting the other team get these scoring opportunities. So I do think, even though it was an incredibly solid win that we saw last night, there's definitely some work to be done. And I think becoming more disciplined is the biggest one right there. Special teams shined in game 1. That's not going to happen for the remainder of this series. At some point, Carolina is going to break through. We talked about the Rangers maybe being rusty after such a long break. It ended up being the Hurricanes being rusty. I'm sure heading into game 2 tomorrow night and then games 3 and 4 in Carolina, they're really going to start to crank things up, kind of like we expected Washington to do. But then Washington just wasn't good. And we just dominated the whole time. I'm confident we're 5-0, but definitely some work to be done on that aspect there. But I mean, Tony, did you have anything to add about special teams or can I keep cooking?
Yeah, I want to just jump in and give a shout out to my boy Vinny Trocheck, power play point, and that is something that I mentioned in the live stream yesterday. So another pat on the back for myself, and also another shout out to my Italian brother Vincent Trocheck. I did say yesterday in the power play when we were talking about it, if somebody's going to crack through on that power play, I thought it was going to be Vinny Trocheck. If you look at his stats over the past 5 games that he's played on the power play, it's actually absurd. 4 goals, 4 assists on the power play in his last 5 games. That's nuts. So shout out to Vincent Trocheck. He's been really driving home the first power play unit for the Rangers, and I'm really pleased with the way that he's playing. And that was a big time moment for him yesterday, getting the power play point for the Rangers.
Yeah. One last player that I want to give a personal shout out to is Alexis Lafreniere, the guy who is on the thumbnail. For good reason too, because I said it during the live stream yesterday, and I'll say it again. Lafreniere is just really quietly having a phenomenal postseason. I mean, look back last year. 0 points in 7 games. This year, through 5 games, he's a point per game player. He has 5 points. He got an assist on that game-winning goal by Panarin last night. So we don't give him enough credit. I think I got to admit, like he's looked so good. And again, shout out Laviolette for making this happen. I'm licking my lips thinking about Laviolette right now. But I would say Lafreniere to me, he's going to be one of the biggest deciding factors of this series. As long as he's able to keep it up, that opens the door for Panarin and Trocheck to continue to score as well. And shout out Lafreniere. But that's pretty much everything I have to say about this game. I think it was an incredible overall matchup, and I'm excited to see the rest of the series. But those are my closing thoughts. If either of you have any closing thoughts, feel free.
I have some. Yeah, I don't know if you have any, Anthony. I'll let you go first if you do. But I was very happy with how they played yesterday. I mean, they kept Carolina out to the perimeter on offense, and a lot of their shot. I mean, I think they didn't even have a lot of shots. I know they had 9 in the last 3 minutes, but a lot of them were from the perimeter. But on defense when the Canes were in their offensive zone. I mean, our defense was keeping everything to the perimeter. They weren't. It really all they were getting was empty calorie shots. It was just shots from the perimeter. Like it was perfect. They played them perfectly. They were playing them in transition pretty well. I know they had that Marty Necas goal where he cut through, but the Rangers were changing, so it was just a lazy change. But I thought every facet of our game yesterday was very good. I thought I really did think it was the best win all year, and I wanted the Rangers to play how they did on March 12th when we played the Hurricanes the last time, and that's exactly what they did. So I was very happy with the win. Thought it was awesome. Thought it was our best win of the year. But I'm looking forward to seeing them build on this in game 2, because obviously you have to play the Canes game to beat them, and that's what they did yesterday.
Yeah, and I'll throw out my closing thoughts as well. Again, Artemi Panarin with a goal, game-winning goal. You got to give him a shout-out. I feel like we didn't talk about him much in this episode, but definitely have to at least give him a shout-out for that. I mean, every time the Rangers have needed a clutch moment, he's stepped up to the plate, and he's delivered every single time. And he did it again last night as he's continued to all season. And we talked a lot about Zibanejad at the beginning in terms of how he performed throughout the game. You also got to mention the face-offs. Won 6 of them, only lost 7, 46%, and Vincent Trocheck, 55% win on the faceoffs. The Rangers did a really good job on the faceoffs yesterday as well, which I think made a difference in the game. And correct me if I'm wrong, that ending sequence, I think it was Svechnikov took a terrible penalty. Shout out to him for taking that awful penalty and making life so much easier for the Blue Shirts. That was great. So Shout out to Svechnikov for helping us get the win.
Yeah, I never thought we'd ever shout that guy out on this channel, but yeah, he had to help us out somehow. But Tony, just before I wrap up, to add on to that face-off thing you brought up, I was looking at it earlier, and I'm 99% sure that out of all of the teams remaining in the playoffs, so the 8 of them, the Rangers do have the best face-off record throughout the playoffs so far. I think like the Maple Leafs had a better one, but they're out of here. They're golfing right now. So it's up to us. Game 2 tomorrow night, like I said, should definitely be an intense one. I'm just looking at all the footage and updates from practice today. Laviolette was working them harder than ever, even more intense than we saw in the regular season. Kreider and I think Jones or Schneider apparently got into it today. Like
Jones and Kreider got into it. Yeah,
they were battling so hard, just like a real game, that they started arguing. But that's what we like to see. This team is getting worked extra hard by Laviolette, and we'll definitely see that play work throughout the rest of the series moving forward. But that about wraps up today's discussion. One more thing from Tony.
One more thing, just because we went through this whole episode and I never even said Peter Laviolette's name. I got to give a shout out to Peter Laviolette. 5 postseason games with the Rangers, 5 postseason dubs. Why wasn't he nominated Coach of the Year? It doesn't make sense. Just a shout out to my guy, Peter Laviolette. Love you,
last time
Peter.
Last time the Rangers started the postseason 5-0 was 1994. Just want to put that out there. The stars are aligning. It's all coming together. But that about wraps up our Game 1 post-game reaction and analysis. We'll be back tomorrow doing a live stream ahead of Game 2. Not sure who will be there with me, but I'll certainly be there. But we'll text and figure that out later on. But to everyone that tuned in for today's episode, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, please do give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and maybe even ring that bell so you don't miss any notifications. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, hit us with that 5-star review. Once again, leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And I can't emphasize enough, please check out our social media accounts. They're pretty much brand new, and we just started cranking up content like crazy. So you definitely want to see us cook over there. But once again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.